Hey, what's up guys, Shelko King here, bringing you my draft analysis for Bandless Battlers League Season 12. It's going to be an Ubers League, so we've played low tier, and now we're playing ultra high tier, so it's going to be fun. Haven't played a lot of Ubers in my life, but before we get into this, make sure you guys like the video, and to consider subscribing to my channel. Appreciate the support. No VGC for a bit, but we are back in the draft league kick, so that is definitely fun. So yeah, Ubers League, don't really know what many of them do. And also something different from me is we're doing Terra preview, which I've not played before. So we're gonna have Terra captains like we've seen in the past. They're gonna be pretty much almost everything that are not the Ubers. So there's going to be some very strong Pokemon that are able to Terra, and it could Terra into any type you want to. It doesn't have to be like a stab and 2 non-stabs or something like that we've done in the past. It's going to be anything. But the thing is, before the game starts, you know what their Terra option is going to be if they use it in the battle. So right before the game starts, you have a little bit of an idea, but in terms of prep, you could sense an idea what they're going to bring as a Terra type, but you're not 100% sure. So it's going to be an interesting format, and obviously we have Ubers. So there are a couple different tiers of Ubers. You have Platinum tier, which is the best of the best Ubers allowed in the format, but you're only allowed to get one. And there's a second tier of Ubers, which are Gold. Not as good as the Platinum ones, but still pretty good. And you can also pick up a Bronze to pair with it. If there are Silver Ubers, which you can get 2 Silver Ubers, or a Silver Uber and a Bronze Uber, and then the Bronze Ubers are not as good. You could get 2 of those, or pair one with the Silver, pair one with a Gold Uber. So interesting format there. I think I really want a top 4 pick to try to get Calyrex Ice, Mewtwo, Zacian, or Groudon. I don't think I'm that interested in Lunala, though if I'm 5th pick, I'm definitely tempted to pick Lunala. And if I don't get a Platinum pick, then I would probably go for like Deoxys Attack in the Gold tier, Rayquaza, I believe, is in the Gold tier, Magearna's in the Silver tier. That seems like fun. Leo had a good time using it ages ago for the GBA. And Fluttermane in the Bronze tier seems broken. So there's so many options I was looking at the beginning of the draft. But again, I don't know a ton about Ubers, so we'll see. But I got a 3rd pick, so definitely nice. And Calyrex Ice was picked predictably. Mewtwo is picked predictably, so I got Zacian. And this mod hits like a truck. It's also a fairy type, so a lot of dragons are going to be introduced in the Uber format. And yeah, Zacian's going to outspeed all of them, I guess, except for Dragapult, but I think Zacian can take on Dragapult one-on-one, even if it's like a Will-O-Wisp. I could just run Lumberry, it'd be fine. Yeah, so I feel pretty good about of Zacian here. It gets a +1 attack boost whenever it first enters the field, but subsequent times it enters the field, it doesn't get the attack boost. So it could be seen as weak, like 120 base attack. It's really strong when you get a +1 attack boost to initially come in, especially if you can get Swords Dance up, you're at +3, and you're hitting really hard with good enough coverage. Play rough, you're going to be spamming a lot at a time, and then close combat to hit steals, and Psychic Fang to hit the poison type. So that's really all the coverage you need. It has a couple other options like Fire Fang, I guess, if you don't want to run close combat, depending on the matchup. So Zacian hits really hard. It's also like not frail. It has 92 HP, 115 in its defense and special defense, so it could definitely live a hit. And if you have like a defensive poison type, you might not be able to even to a kill with like a poison jab or something like that. So Zacian seems really strong, has outs to beat its counters. Another way that you could counter Zacian, one, I think Terra Poison is going to be run on a lot of Pokemon that I face. And Red Car, maybe run Endure as well with it to guarantee that I have to switch out my Zacian and not have the +1 attack boost. So even if I don't have the attack boost, I'm still hitting pretty strong. I was a little bit hesitant that Zacian was going to be pretty weak without that +1 boost, but it still hits fine enough. And I have like good defenses I can set up with Swords Dance. I have Trailblaze, Iron Defense, a lot of options there. But it's also a top tier speed option. Really only being outsped by Dragon Troll and Deoxys, but I think I'm fine there. So Zacian seems like a great first pick. But I can't get any more Ubers at this point. But there's still Uber quality mons in the top. Terra King Gamut's an option. Iron Treads without Terra. Terra Zarude. Gouging Fire, Palafin, Darkrai, Terra Ogre Pon Wellspring. I don't think Terra the the Hearth Flame one, which makes sense because that would be really, really good. But yeah, still a lot of great options left. And I wanted to get a top tier Terra Captain since I wasn't going to be getting a second Uber, so I want something that can kind of act as a second Uber type. But for my second pick, I valued a non-Terra Pokemon more than my Terra, since I feel like I could still get a really good option on like the pseudo wheel that I have. Because I am third pick, there's only 2 people that are going to be picking after me, after my second pick. So it's pretty close to a wheel, so I'm fine with that. So the next Pokemon I got is Iron Treads. Now, Iron Treads does so many things, and it's a steel type, which is also good in the dragons, so it can check a lot of the dragon types pretty well. And with Iron Treads, you have Quirk Drive, so you can boost your attack, your defense, your speed. Technically, you can boost your special defense as well with Booster Energy Quirk Drive. Or you can just run Assault Vest Iron Treads and sponge a ton of special hits. 90-70 bulk is not great in the special defensive sides, but the typing of Steel plus Ground still handles a lot of types really well. It's a rocker, it's a rapid spinner, has momentum with Volt Switch, handles the steel and poison types that Zacian can deal with, but ideally doesn't want to deal with. Cool offensive and defensive threat. Can Air Defense Body Press, Assault Vest. It has a lot of cool options in the Ubers, so I'm very happy with Iron Treads on this team as a second pick. Really reliable rocker, and really reliable removal, and handles the types that Zacian doesn't want to deal with, so feels like a great combo. Third pick, Ingot Zarude, which was something I definitely would have liked to have picked as a Terra option, but I'm still really happy with the Pokemon I got, which is Ogre Pon Wellspring. It gets a special defense boost when it Terras. It loses its water absorbability, but it's not the biggest deal because you're already 4 times resistant to water. So that's okay. Also, you get a 20% attack boost to all your attacks because you are wearing the Wellspring mask. So that is cool. It's a pure water type, so it loses in resistance to Earthquake, but otherwise it's a pretty good defensive typing, just water only being weak to grass and electric. Which Iron Treads handles electric types. Grass types you don't handle, I guess, as well yet, but we'll get there in a bit. When I Terra, the boost to Ivy Cudgel is going to be even stronger, which that move is crazy. And like it has a high critical hit chance rate, so like if you think you can wall the Ogre Pon, well, you may not be able to wall it if I hit it with an Ivy Cudgel into a crit Ivy Cudgel. So there's a high chance that could happen. Ogre Pon has recovery, it has spikes. Because it's so threatening offensively, you might have to go into like something very passive to take on Ogre Pon, then I could set up 3 layers of spikes on you, and then get momentum and Iron Treads into Zacian sweeps with all your Pokemon taking spikes damage. It also seems like an icebreaker for Zacian. It doesn't handle poison types that well, but steals it's going to hit with Ivy Cudgel fine. And again, I do have Iron Treads for poison types, so I feel fine with the Ogre Pon here, though I do want to handle poison types a little bit better, which hopefully I can do on later in the draft. So, they're my first three Pokemon there. I don't have a lot of points for a low-tier Terra, because Ogre Pon takes up so many of my points. I could get a couple options, considering at this point we're Lilligant, Sableye, Smeargle, so nothing great, but things that are okay for sure. At this point, I feel like I need a grounded poison type, reliable special attackers, ground resists, some good priority. Ogre Pon and Zacian have quick attacks, but maybe a little bit more reliable options with that. Something that can Scarf. Since Zacian doesn't want to Scarf, it would be super, super fast, but it doesn't really want to Scarf. And Iron Treads, I think it's a lot more useful not being Scarfed. And then Ogre Pon can't hold an item, so kind of unfortunate there. So some mons that came back that were very expensive were still there, which is crazy. So Darkrai was still there, Palafin was still there, though me having Ogre Pon makes me not tempted to get Palafin, but if I got into a different Terra, maybe like Terra King Gamut was an option, I could have gotten Palafin, and that would have been insane, but I feel good with Ogre Pon. No regrets there. Gouging Fire was available, Iron Hands was available, Sneasler, Latios, Petron, Chi-Yu. It's just crazy all these monsters still available in my pick. And honestly, after I think someone got something in like the middle of round 3 that I was like somewhat interested in, but the rest of round 3 and basically the entirety of round 4, there were like maybe 1 or 2 mons I was interested in. So I feel like I didn't get sniped at any of the Pokemon I really wanted for round 4, which was great. Kyle did get Iron Moth, which was a slight interest. I don't know if I wanted to spend the points for it, but yeah, that was like basically the only Pokemon around 4 that I was considering that got picked. So yeah, so I feel really good about all the options that were available. So I went with Latios round 4. Kind of crazy, but gives me the ground resist, gives me a grass resist, and like it could offensively handle grass types fine that Ogre Pon doesn't really want to. It handles poison types that Zacian doesn't really want to. Steel types is not a great answer to. I do have Iron Treads plus Ogre Pon that handles them fine. It's a Scarfer as well, because I think Latios is going to be pretty good as a Scarfer. It's going to outspeed like Palkia, it's going to outspeed Zekrom. A lot of the dragons that are going to be allowed, it's going to outspeed them all, even if they get if they're Scarfed or have a +1 speed boost. Draco Meteor just hit so hard coming off base 130 as special attack, so that's going to just kill them. I also didn't have a special attacker on this team prior, so Latios is like a really good breaker as well if I needed to. Has Flip Turn for momentum, has recovery as well. It's a ground immunity, because with Ogre Pon Terroring, which I figure I got to do a lot of the time, loses the ground resist, so Latios has that now, and that seems fine. So Latios just seemed like a great pairing that I was very happy lasted round 4. On round 5, I just, sure, I'll pick up Darkrai. This is another option that I think I could choice Scarf. 110 is a really good speed tier, and I want something faster than base 110 that could choice Scarf. And again, I don't really want Zacian to do that. I think Darkrai can be fine in that role. But obviously, Darkrai is going to do a lot more than just be a Scarfer. Also, I spent a lot of points on speed and a lot of points in general. I don't have a ton of points left for this draft, but I'll be able to round it out fine. Yeah, a lot of speed here. It's a cool option, faster than base 110 speed. Has Nasty Plot, so it can obviously sweep in that regard. Has Will-O-Wisp to provide support into Zacian or Ogre Pon. It has obviously sleep options. Maybe I get a Spore Pokemon and get into Darkrai and have Bad Dreams set up. So it has enough coverage for Steels plus Poison types. It has Psychic coverage, has Fighting coverage, so it can handle those Pokemon if it has to. Again, the pair with Zacian. So yeah, this seems like just a crazy offensive draft I have right here. My first 5 picks. Probably want a little bit more bulk. Want another Earthquake resist. Screens would be nice to have on this team with how much offense I have. Granted, Poison types absorb Toxic Spikes is definitely going to have. A second Stealth Rock, and if I don't want Iron Treads to run rocks, or I wanted to have a Zulfest or something like that. Yeah, just some options I was thinking of at that point. I don't think I really need another removal option because I have Iron Treads, which is pretty good in that role. I have 35 points left at this point in the draft, so I actually had like a draft plan of Petron, Uxie, Almamola, and Terra Smeargle. I mean, now that Smeargle would be cool, since I had it before and I can only use 3 types, now I can use like all types, so that would be super, super neat. And I had backup plans to some of these Pokemon, but that was the plan for the rest of the draft. But unfortunately, Uxie and Albamola went in round 6, which makes sense, because they're both really good. Uxie might have gone round 5, honestly, I don't remember. But Albamola being picked for 6 points was pretty tough. I didn't really have a place around Albamola, so I had to figure out something that could cover its grounds as like an Ice Resist, Momentum, and Healing Wish. Healing Wish seemed pretty good into Ogre Pon, or I guess Zacian, though you wouldn't get the attack boost. It's still hitting pretty hard. So yeah, Uxie I did have a replacement with, and I felt pretty good about it, so I'm going to get Deoxys Defense. This was suggested by 6 Foot Hacks, and honestly, I think this Deoxys Defense is going to be better than Uxie. Though Uxie does give me a ground resist, Deoxys gives me rocks, Ed Spikes, and even slower momentum than Uxie, because Deoxys has Teleport, so that's me to get an offensive on super safely. I'm guaranteed going last, unless if there's like a Trick Room going up, I think it's slower than, I'm not sure. And has the ability to recover, since one, it has a high speed, and it's really bulky, so you're going to be able to recover that Uxie wouldn't be able to do that reliably. It can Cosmic Power, Call Mind Sweep if you're not ready for it, if you don't bring Toxic into my team, which kind of makes sense if like Iron Treads is not going to handle that too well, and I will get a Poison type later that can't get Toxic either. It can set up screens, reflect light screen, and then you can teleport slowly into Zacian, set up Swords Dances, and that seems like a generally good game plan. Or go into Nasty Plot Darkrai or Swords Dance Ogre Pon. Yeah, this is going to be a fun team. Has Fast Taunt, because Deoxys has pretty good speed in base 90. I imagine a lot of tight I'm running just max HP, max speed, because your defense and special defense stat are so high, you don't really need to invest in them to still take hits. So probably max HP, max speed is going to be the Deoxys for the most part. And taunt to make sure hazards don't go up. Again, I do have a good removal option, but I only have one for now. I should basically live almost any hit, unless if it's really boosted up. It has Thunder Wave if something's trying to like Dragon Dance boost up in front of the Deoxys. I guess I could taunt it, but if it's faster, then I can go for a T-Wave. It has Nightshade for at least somewhat reliable damage output. No Toxic. It would have been great if it had Toxic, but otherwise, Deoxys seems really good for the team. So, round 7, I'm going to get my Poison type. So, yeah, I got Petron. So, that seems like another crazy one. And I have really, really not a lot of points left, but I'm fine with these top 7. Yeah, it just seems so good. Probably bringing like 4 out of the 5 offensive Pokemon and then Deoxys plus Petron. Or I can go 1 of Deoxys plus Petron and just 5 my offense and just go really hard, like screens Deoxys into like 5 offensive threats. That seems like it could work. But yeah, Petron is here. I mean, I am weak to Ghosts and Dark, I suppose, with Deoxys Petron as a defensive core, but I have ways at it with the offensive Pokemon I picked that have like respectable bulk because a lot of them are like Uber type Pokemon. So they have like okay stats. Yeah. I patched up on Petron in low tier league, and I'm definitely not going to let that happen at this point. Though I did let it happen for 6 rounds, and it still came back to me so crazy. Has Momentum with Parting Shot, can Nasty Plot, Sweep in a pinch. It lives like any physical hit. There's like some Uber calcs that I did, and it's crazy how little Petron took from those hits. So really nice. And it's also a really good stop in his Zacian, so like I'll take one Pokemon that can handle Zacian really well. So yeah, Petron is here. That's great. At this point, I have 9 points left, which is still like fine to pick up a couple Pokemon that probably aren't going to come the most matchups, because honestly, these 7 are going to come like 90% of the time. But I still wanted a water, like an Ice Resist at least. Water Resist is fine because I have Ogre Pon and Latios, but Ice Resist I definitely need. And I want something slower than base 88 speed, because Petron is my slowest Pokemon. Which is really fast. I don't know how often people are bringing Trick Room. I guess the Calyrex Ice team probably brings Trick Room, but I want something at least a little bit slower to have some respect. Registeel was an option I was thinking of, but like I'm not going to bring Registeel if I have an Iron Treads. And it seems like a really big momentum dump. Umbreon seemed like a cool option for Wish, but it was picked, I believe, in round 7, so I'm not going to be able to get it. And honestly, I wanted to get something for 7 points, since having a 2-point option for the last pick is a lot better than 1 point for the last pick. So next Pokemon I got is Hariyama. It can't Terra, but it's still nice that it has Thick Fat, so it's a really reliable Ice Resist, and with the high HP you can invest in a like max defense or max special defense, and you don't really need to invest in HP, so you can still run like max attack, max defense. With Thick Fat, you can handle like physical ice moves, or if you go max special defense, you can handle special ice moves, especially if you give an Assault Vest. It has Priority and Fake Out plus Bullet Punch. They're not going to be super strong, unless if your Guts boosted, which could definitely be brought with Hariyama. It doesn't have to be just a Thick Fat Pokemon, but with the amount of offense I have in a team, and with how broken everything else is, I'm probably running Hariyama more as a like a tank pivot type Pokemon, so probably Thick Fat's going to be brought for the most part. But definitely not super passive, because it has base 120 physical attack. Like, it's going to be hitting pretty hard. So, the last Pokemon I went with is with 2 points that can Terra. It was a 2-point Pokemon, and giving a Terra access was essentially free. So I picked Quilladin. I'm going to say like 95% chance I'm bringing it to at least 1 game. I definitely have plans with Quilladin. I don't want to spoil them too much, but it has really, really nice bulk with a Violate. And it can go into any type I want to, so really depending on the matchup, Quilladin seems pretty cool there. It has spikes, so Deoxys or Ogre Pon don't have to run them. Super Fang, so it's not terribly set up bait in plus Roar, so Super Fang plus Roar can get stuff low and phase them out, and with spikes you might just kill them when they come in next. So yeah, it's a very top-heavy draft. Honestly, it's like a 7-mon draft with 2 really niche Pokemon, but those top 7 are just so strong. That I feel pretty confident bringing them into any game, and I think I'm going to be good. This is going to be a really, really fun team. I'm really happy with this. Yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoy this. I have no idea how the Ubers is going to go. There's going to be some busted Pokemon out there, but I think I have checks to basically all the Uber Pokemon. There's like 1 or 2 that I'm like a little bit iffy on, but I think everything else I have at least good enough outs to. So yeah, if you guys like this, again, make sure you guys like the video, consider subscribing to the channel. But until next time, later guys.